Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. We'll give some time for people to file in. I just wanted to say if you want to introduce yourself on the webinar chat, feel free to write your name. And if you're a commuter or employer, that'd be great. And we can get started. So I'm Nikki Trasmonte with the Maryland Department of Transportation, and I will be the moderator of today's webinar on new commuter incentives with Sheehan and Stacey King from the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, or MWCOG. This session will be recorded, and we will send a link to the recording in a few days. So during the webinar, please feel free to drop any questions in the chat, and we will have some time for Q&A at the end for any questions of discussion. So next slide. So commuting to a workplace is something many of us do every day, and being stuck in a car, in traffic, trying to get someplace by a certain time can cause lots of stress. It can also be costly. Operating, maintaining, and insuring a car is not cheap. There's also the cost of roadway congestion, environmental impacts, and when people get tired enough of their commute. Employers may also face the cost of employee turnover. So one commuting statistic in the state of Maryland that we want to highlight is that Maryland ranks number 3rd in the US for the longest work commutes. So we know commuting is an important issue for people in the state of Maryland. So next slide, please. So one way we can improve commuting can be through TDM. Transportation Demand Management, or TDM, is the use of strategies to inform and encourage travelers to 1, maximize the efficiency of a transportation system, 2, reduce congestion, and 3, lower vehicle emissions, which includes measures such as promoting public transit, carpooling, telework, and more. So next slide. So we actually have additional effective TDM strategies as well, which can include cash incentives for taking alternative transportation. So that could be in the form of gift cards. We also have carpooling and vanpooling, investment and support of bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, marketing, outreach, and education to encourage behavior change, and more. Next slide, please. We also are here to help. So we are the Commuter Choice Maryland program. Relaunched in 2018, we are a free statewide program of the Maryland Department of Transportation. We help employers set up commuter benefits. We encourage the public to use better commuting options other than driving alone. And we also manage statewide commuter programs. So as you can see on the map to the right, there's also a network of 12 local jurisdictions that provide specialized support to local communities, employers, and organizations with their commuting needs. So if you want to discover more, you can check out our website as well. Next slide, please. So we actually have an employer partner program. So it is our free program. That's an opportunity for employers to be recognized for their efforts in promoting sustainable transportation and commuter benefits to their employees. Next slide. We also have a Maryland commuter tax credit. So Maryland employers can earn a tax credit. So that's another incentive for employers to promote these benefits. Next slide, please. So in this webinar today, we will hear about new commuter incentives that recently launched, how to take advantage of these incentives, and for our employers tuning into the webinar, how you can take action for your employees. Next slide, please. But before we dive in, we want to hear from you. So on average, how much time does a Maryland commuter spend commuting to work each day? So a poll should pop up on your screen or in the chat. So feel free to add your guess. Okay, it looks like a lot of people have said 42 minutes. That's the most popular. We have 31 minutes as well. 31. Okay, I'll give it a couple more seconds. Great. So a lot of people have said 42. Well, for those of you who have answered 31 minutes, you are correct. So the average commute for a Maryland commuter is 31.4 minutes long, which is quite a long time. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're excited today to have two fantastic speakers with us from the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. So first we have Dan Sheehan, who is the Transportation Program Operations Director. Dan directs the Regional Commuter Connections program at MWCOG and also leads a team of TDM experts to strategize, innovate, and implement impactful commuter assistance programs. And we also have Stacey King, who is the Commuter Connections Program Manager at MWCOG. Stacey oversees the ride matching and incentive programs administered by Commuter Connections, including CommuterCash, which you'll hear about more today, pool rewards, guaranteed ride home, and also the new Baltimore Commutes carpool and vanpool programs. So we're so happy to have both of them here today to speak about commuter incentives, and I'll have them take it away from here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nikki. Yes, my name is Dan Sheehan, and I direct the Commuter Connections program here at the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. We're thrilled to have a great partnership with the Commuter Choice Maryland team. And we worked side by side in tandem to help companies and commuters alike limit their amount of time they spend commuting and finding ways to make commutes more efficient, more sustainable, help improve air quality, and all that good stuff. So we're here today, as was said, to explain a little bit more about some incentives that are available to anyone commuting within Maryland and also the DC region. And I know we all want to try and get those average numbers down, I'm sure, for the time it takes to get to and from work. And hopefully, through the use of some of these incentives and programs that we offer, there'll be a good solution for some of you on this call. So Stacy and I will review a little bit of some of the programs we have here at Commuter Connections. This slide is an overview of some of the programs that we offer. We'll get into detail on each of these in future slides. Our Guaranteed Ride Home program provides commuters who don't drive alone to work with a free and reliable ride home for emergencies. We'll also talk about the CommuterCash program, which complements existing employer commuter benefits by rewarding commuters for tracking their commute trips. And then I'll hand it over to Stacy, where she'll discuss two new Ride Together Rewards programs from the Commuter Choice Maryland Baltimore Carpool Incentive and Baltimore Vanpool Incentive that expand transportation options and provide new financial incentives. Next slide. So the first step to unlocking all of our incentives is to create an account with us for an account-based program. You can access it if you're in the Baltimore area via baltimorecommutes.org, or if you're in the DC area, anywhere else in Maryland, commuterconnections.org will get you there as well. All of our incentives require commuters to have accounts, and some employers even have accounts with us. We do partner with employers on occasion to do a white label treatment to our software, so some co-branding and some other benefits associated with that. If you are interested in, or excuse me, if you are an employer transportation coordinator and you want to learn more about that, I know our contact information is on this slide, or feel free to ask a question about it later on. But generally speaking, for the public, any commuters in the region, in the Baltimore region, are welcome to create an account. Let us know your email address, their commute information, such as where they're going, where they're coming from, so that we can qualify you for particular programs that we have. And then you're off and running, and you're able to participate in any of these programs. They're all free, and actually they serve as a great way to earn some cash on the side if you find yourself commuting quite a bit. Next slide. First, I'll highlight the Guaranteed Ride Home program. This is a long-standing program. I believe it was released in the late 90s, but it's been really helpful for individuals who commute regularly, at least twice a week, via carpool, vanpool, bike, walk, or transit. So that's by commute, I mean, going to and from work from your home. And if you do that, you will have an opportunity, if something goes awry, for a free and reliable ride home if there is an unexpected emergency If there's an illness with a family member, a child at daycare, for example, or at school who falls ill, you need to go pick them up and you took transit. This program will provide you a free cab ride to your car or to your home, whichever is your unique circumstance. So the thought behind the whole program is to help commuters and employers in some cases, if they want to provide this to the commuters as well and help us promote it, um, the peace of mind and the comfort in knowing that they're not going to be stranded anywhere at work if there is an emergency, if there's unexpected overtime as well. I should hit on that, and other reasons such as illness. You won't be stuck at work if your bus isn't running due to scheduling issues, or if your carpool partner falls sick, has to leave early. We'll get you that cab ride so you can get home or to your car stress-free. Individuals can enroll in this Oh, I'm sorry, got a couple more points there. I know I paused. Individuals can enroll in this program. When you create your free account that we just talked about in the prior slide, you can log in and then select Guarantee Ride Home or GRH from the Commuter Connections login menu. You see that on the right-hand side of the slide in the bottom image there. When you select Guarantee Ride Home, you'll be able to register for the program. We'll just review your account here at Commuter Connections, ensure that you comply with the program guidelines with your commutes, and then get you approved. You'll be all set. You'll get 6 free rides a year. Those reset every year. So if you re-register for the program in 2026, you'll be able to get a fresh set of 6 free rides. The required information to register are 2 phone numbers and a supervisor contact, and the one-way commutes. Mileage must be within our region, which there's a map on the website you can check out. And you must have a non-drive alone mode for 2 or more days a week. All ready for the next slide? That's our Guaranteed Ride Home program, and this is a much newer program. It just launched in March, and actually the rest of the programs we'll detail, I believe, are all incentive programs that launched fairly recently, or at least heavily revamped fairly recently. So y'all are some of the first audiences we're coming before to showcase these exciting incentive programs. CommuterCash is a mobile app. It's smartphone based, of course. It's an incentive program for commuters who work in Maryland and the greater DC region. The app will track commute trips that will allow commuters who use the app to earn points, which are then redeemable for rewards, including cash from PayPal or Venmo, Smart Trip credits, which also are applied to any DC area local transit agencies, and Capital Bike Share memberships. You can also get some gift cards and some other items. You can kind of see them on the list there as well. Capital Bike Share and Easy Pass. We are working to onboard them. So the hope is, by this program, the hope is to encourage people who may be on the fence about commuting via transit, rideshare, or biking and walking. It lets them earn points, which are then redeemed for those cash rewards I just mentioned, so that it helps, either cover the cost of those commutes, or helps provide that nudge to earn some cash by choosing a more sustainable and efficient commute than driving alone to and from work many days a week. The screenshots you see here on the right side kind of show the flow of what it looks like to log a trip in CommuterCash and redeem rewards. When you create a Commuter Connections account, whether you've done it via desktop or this mobile app, it all kind of goes to the same place. So it's your same account that we already discussed in a prior slide. When you download the app using the QR codes there, if you would like, you create that account on that first screen there is what it looks like. After you're in the app, you can then log your trips, and that's what the second screenshot looks like. You've got several different options you can choose from for earning points. You can see, actually it's kind of small font, but I'll just tell you, I guess you'll have to take my word for it, but you earn more points through CommuterCash by logging what we consider to be sustainable and efficient commute modes. So carpool, transit, vanpool, biking, and walking will all get you 50 points for a trip log, whereas driving alone will get you 10. So you can still earn some points for driving alone. Sometimes it just has to happen, right? So we don't want to exclude anyone from participating in CommuterCash, but you'll be able to earn points more quickly and cash them in for rewards more quickly whenever you commute via those more sustainable and efficient options. So once you have enough points, you'll see on the third screenshot how those can be redeemed. It's not the most up to date. We just actually a few days ago removed the check option, but otherwise, those are all the options that are available to redeem for cash, or sorry, to redeem for rewards, which are cash or credits for different transportation um, providers. The final screenshot shows a trip planner within the app. So let's say someone is open to exploring new commute modes. If they want to try and earn, more points by taking transit or finding a carpool, you can do that here within the app. You can find a transit route that works best for you, a bike route or a carpool partner. So that way you can earn those points more quickly and redeem them for cash. I should note that there's a maximum incentive of $600 per calendar year. That's in place due to tax reasons. We're not interested in filing anything with the IRS over that $600 maximum. So we will watch that and ensure that individual commuters are only getting up to $600 a year, which is still very lucrative and I think can help motivate people to take those sustainable modes. Again, download it for free on the App Store using those QR codes below. You can also visit commutercash.org for more details. And I have more download instructions on the next slide for those of you who are interested in getting going on this right away. So we can advance. Thank you. Yep, it's available on both app stores. And again, you just log in with your Commuter Connections username and password if you already have an account. I will note there might be some individuals on this call who have heard and used the app incenTrip in the past, which we were affiliated with and managed up until January of this year. You can use the same login information you used in incenTrip to get into CommuterCash. So we are no longer affiliated with that app, but they did transfer the data over to us. So we haven't lost any account information if you used incenTrip in the past. Step 3 here, start logging the trips and earning rewards. That's really all there is to it. We don't do a whole lot of review on our end when it comes to just getting up and going with this program. If you're an individual commuter, that's all it takes is to register and get going. If you are an employer who wants to partner with us and maybe offer additional incentives, rewards, do mini challenges within the app, that opportunity is also available. We coordinate with ETCs to get those up and running and CommuterCash. So it takes some time to plan out. If that's something you're interested in, please let us know. Again, our contact information is on the slide. We can work with you to try and get something set up later this year or early next year. Really, any time beyond that as well. Keep it on your radar if you're looking to solve a parking crisis, if you're looking to improve employee morale, if you're trying to find a great way to implement employer benefits, or sorry, commuter benefits at your work sites. We are here to provide this service and to help you out. I will note, sorry, I think there's one more thing here on this slide and then we can advance. The app does use active trip tracking, which helps us reduce fraud as a publicly funded program after all. So we need to ensure that trips are being recorded and they're legit. The last sentence here on this slide, make sure that if you're using the app, you allow background and motion fitness tracking. Set location settings to always allow precise location. So that way you will, the phone will provide us the GIS coordinates we need to verify the trip was taken as claimed. The good news is it's very clear in the app and will tell you exactly whenever location tracking is on, and it'll be very clear and transparent whenever it's off. So as long as a certain screen shows that the trip is being tracked, that's whenever you know you're passing data over to our database. And when it's not tracking the trip, there's no data being collected from your mobile device. We do that to ensure that privacy and security are honored of our end users and participants. Next slide. All right, at this point, I am happy to turn over to my colleague, Stacey King, who is going to talk a little bit more about some carpool and vanpool incentive programs that launched recently. Stacey?
Thanks, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today on today's webinar. So I will take over and just tell you a little bit about some of the brand new programs that the Maryland Department of Transportation and Commuter Choice Maryland program have worked with us to develop as new incentives for the Baltimore region. So the first is the Baltimore Carpool Incentive Program. This program is for individuals, and it provides an incentive directly to individuals who have joined and formed a carpool to commute in a personal vehicle to the Baltimore region. So Baltimore City or the counties in Anne Arundel, Baltimore, Carroll, Hartford, Howard, or Queen Anne's. So the greater Baltimore region. This incentive program provides the individual participants with up to $320 over the course of the 90-day incentive. So this, once your carpool enrolls, there's a 90-day time frame, and that's the period of time in which you can earn the incentive specific to this program. So to participate and to get more details about the program, you'll go to baltimorecommutes.org/carpool. That's where you enroll and set your carpool up. Just want to also reiterate that all carpool members will need to have a Commuter Connections account. Just as Dan said at the beginning, all of our programs are built on the individuals having accounts. And so you'll register your carpool, and then the members of the carpool will log your carpool trips. So on the days that you are commuting together, you log those trips, and then we evaluate that at the 30, 60, and 90-day mark, and calculate the rewards that each carpool member has earned for that time frame. Also, throughout the course of this program, since it is an incentive program, it's new, it's meant to help understand, the importance of this opportunity and the importance of this mode of transportation to help with traffic congestion and all the positive benefits that come along with that. So there'll be some short surveys that you'll be asked to participate in as participants, and then once you've completed those requirements, very easy stuff, we calculate your individual incentives that you've accrued at the 30, 60, and 90-day milestones and pay those out to you. So if you want to go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is what the webpage looks like, baltimorecommutes.org/carpool. There's a button to enroll your carpool if you are ready, if you have some coworkers or friends or family members and you're ready to go and ready to enroll. We do ask that everybody completes the online carpool registration form. This helps us get some individual intake data for every member of the carpool, and it's the opportunity for you to select the incentive that you want at the 30, 60, and 90-day mark. So we have a really nice menu of options for incentives that you can earn through this program. They'll be delivered to you in the form of electronic gift cards, and they'll be your choosing, either auto supply stores, auto repair places, gas stations, even Amtrak and Visa gift cards are all in that menu of options. So you'll see all of that when you register. And then at 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, we take a look at all the data, all the trips you've been logging together, and we calculate that out. It's calculated at $2.50 per trip that the carpool members log together. So, if there are a few of you in a carpool, but you don't all commute 5 days a week together, you sort of swap in and out. We take a look at how your trips were logged, and we'll calculate the incentive accordingly. So that way, each individual member of the carpool earns the incentive that pertains most to their commuting pattern. Next slide, please. So the way that you have two options for logging carpool trips through this program. The first option is through the new CommuterCash app that Dan just highlighted for everybody. So we're recommending it. Eventually, we will move to only use the CommuterCash app, but at this point, you have a choice. But we do recommend that you give it a try. Firstly, it helps you get used to the new technology. You will also be able to earn the CommuterCash rewards in tandem with the incentives that you're earning through the Baltimore Commutes program. So you can, sort of start earning extra incentives for your commute to work. So to use the carpool or to use the CommuterCash app for logging your carpool trips, it's really easy. You log into your CommuterCash account, you click the log trip button, you select carpool. You as your mode of transportation, you select work as your destination or home when you're leaving at the end of the day, and then you tap the start trip button. When you arrive at your destination, typically the app will end the trip. It will detect that you have reached your destination, and then we'll end that trip automatically. If it doesn't, there's a little end trip button on your screen that you can tap to manually end that trip. And that's really it. Then it's the app will reset for the next time that you're ready to use it. So as long as we're getting carpool trips logged by more than one carpool member on any given day, that will qualify you for the incentives. Next slide, please. So the other option, if you are not ready to use CommuterCash, or maybe your phone isn't working, or you have too many pictures of your pets to download an app right now, you can use the online calendar. We have a less tech-heavy version that you can participate. So in order to do this, the carpool calendar is available through your Commuter Connections account. So you can go to baltimorecommutes.org or commuterconnections.org, log in with your username and password, and then you'll see there's two ways you can get to the calendar. There's a commute log link at the top of the page, and there's a log your commute with a calendar icon on the right hand side of the page. So either way, you're going to get to the calendar, and then you'll select the day. First, before you really start logging trips, you'll set up sort of like a typical commute profile. So you'll do that first, and then you'll see the calendar, and you can select the day that you want to log the trips for, and you can go in and manually log those trips, to and from work. The calendar is set to allow backlogging up to 10 days from today, from any given day. So there's a little bit of time. Say you just forgot to log some trips during the week. Then you can go back and take care of that. Or if you had been using the CommuterCash app and maybe something just didn't work right for you, you can go back and capture that trip on the calendar, and we'll still see all that data on the back end. So it's not a problem for us either way. Next slide, please. Great. Okay. So the next new program that we're excited to talk about is the Baltimore Vanpool Incentive Program. For anyone who's unfamiliar, vanpooling is a whole lot different from carpooling. So in the program that we talked about previously with carpooling, you're kind of finding, or you're using our ride match site, you're forming a carpool with individuals, and you are using someone's personally owned vehicle to commute back and forth to work. Vanpooling is a bit different. So a vanpool is a leased vehicle. It's typically like a larger van or an SUV that will seat 7 to 15 individuals. And for the Baltimore Vanpool program, again, the eligible destinations for this new program are for vanpools that are forming that go to Baltimore City or the counties Anne Arundel, Baltimore, Carroll, Hartford, Howard, or Queen Anne's County. So again, the greater Baltimore region. Where the carpool incentive offered rewards to the individual participants. Each individual participant could earn $320 over the course of the incentive. The vanpool incentive is a little bit different. So because you're leasing a vehicle, the incentive here is that there is a subsidy of $500 every month off the cost of that lease. So $500 gets taken off the front end, and then the remaining amount is split between the participants in the vanpool. And that could change. If you're just getting started, you may not have as many people, but over time you may grow and add some more folks, or you may end up with daily riders. It could your individual benefit and your individual costs are going to be different in a vanpool program, but still vastly greater savings over commuting by yourself, especially if you're driving alone. So to participate in the Baltimore Vanpool program, again, so it's a different process. So you will need to enroll through an authorized vanpool vendor. All of our information about the program is on the website, baltimorecommutes.org/vanpool. That will tell you where the all of our approved vanpool vendors are. Currently, it is Commute with Enterprise. And then you'll enroll. You'll work with the approved vanpool vendors on the list, and then get your vanpool going. We'll work with the vanpool program to actually formally welcome your vanpool in. And then every month, the vanpool the members of the vanpool will need to complete some reporting. We'll need to make sure have verification that there's still the occupancy rates are met and you are traveling to work in enough days during the week that you're qualifying for the program. And again, just complete some short surveys, not as frequently, but there'll be some surveying that you'll be some survey questions you'll be asked to answer. So for all those things, you keep logging trips, complete surveys when you're asked, again, very infrequently, and then you'll continue to earn that $500 off the monthly vanpool lease and keep getting those savings every month. And this is, of course, also paired with any incentive that your employer offers or commuter benefits that your employer offers at a pre-tax or a subsidized rate. Next slide, please. So just to give you a little bit of a view of the webpage, baltimorecommutes.org/vanpool. So we have a few sections on the page. If you are looking for vanpools to join, if you are almost ready, like if you have some folks together and you're not quite sure what to do yet, we have different options for you to take whatever step you need to maybe understand more about the program or be ready to go and connect you with a vanpool vendor. If you are looking for more support and you just don't quite have enough people, or you're really interested and not quite sure how to build that momentum, then we can absolutely help you with some ideas and connect you with your local resources to help build that program either at your employer or within your community or however it works best. Next slide, please. Okay, so I see a very pertinent question from Behoy. Thank you so much. How to find carpool partners. So you may have heard about all these great incentives and wondered how you would find carpools and vanpools to join, which is a perfectly reasonable question. If you don't already have folks ready to go in a vehicle with you, we do have a resource through our Commuter Connections platform. We offer free ride matching, so you can conduct your own searches to see if there are others in your region that are also either already operating a carpool or a vanpool or are looking to do the same. You can alter your search criteria, you can change your work hours, you can change your you can search based on a radius around your work or home, and you can search along the route. So there are a lot of different options that you can use to try and find some good candidates of new carpool or vanpool partners, and then you can connect with them directly through the site. Depending on how people's individual privacy settings are with their accounts, you may get an email address for them, you may get a phone number. It may be a little bit more anonymous, in which that case you can connect with them through the website, and then you'll eventually be a little bit more directly connected once you kind of make that initial exchange. So there's also an option on this through the ride matching that you can limit your results just for your employer. So if you really just want to try to find somebody that's going specifically to your work site, especially if you're at a large employer, it might make sense that you would it's just easier to find someone that you are directly working with. There'll be a button on that search results page too, where you could narrow your results. Slide, please. So this is the last slide for us before we turn it back over to Nikki. But just as a quick recap, it's pretty easy for you to try and get started with unlocking these incentives. So first thing is to make sure that you've created your free Commuter Connections account, or you go to baltimorecommutes.org or commuterconnections.org and create that free account. Then if you need to, you can conduct your ride match searches, or if you are ready to go, you have your colleagues, you want to enroll in a carpool program, you want to enroll in a vanpool program, you're also ready to start logging your trips with CommuterCash, you can go ahead and do that. And then that third step is that you're participating, you're logging your trips and you're earning rewards. So it's just as simple as that. And then of course you will also have, as Dan talked about at the beginning, the Guaranteed Ride Home program as a safety net for you if you do end up in a carpool or a vanpool, and those sort of what if scenarios, we do have that free program for you too. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan and Stacey, for sharing about all the great incentive programs for commuters in the region. So since we spoke about earlier about the vanpool program, we want to share a testimonial from an employee that actually utilized it. He said that not only was he able to build friendship and community through the vanpool program, he also was able to save a lot of miles on his personal vehicle. So instead of averaging around 250 miles a week, his mileage went down to 10 miles a week. So that's an immense amount of savings, and we wanted to just highlight that. So next slide, please. So actually tying this back to employers, as we've heard in this webinar today, the traffic in Maryland is really bad, especially with a 30-minute daily commute to work. So this gives employers an opportunity for them to think about commute alternatives for their employees, which can help retain talent and keep employees satisfied. So next slide. So we have a ton of available sources for employers. For example, we have local rideshare coordinators that cover specific regions on the map. So you saw this slide before. We also have many resources available like individual consultations to help with your employees' commuting needs. We also can create brochures, materials for your organization. So we can create flyers for employee break rooms or draft email templates to send out for new commuting news and incentives in the region. So next slide, please. We also want to highlight some of our employer partners in spotlight articles. So this is an example of an employer testimonial we have for Maryland Live Casino and Hotel. So they actually have a vanpool program for their employees. This is another great perk of our employer partner program. And if any employers are interested, they can sign up for this program during this webinar as well. You can drop your name and email in the chat or also email Commuter Choice to join. So next slide, please. So we have another poll for our webinar audience. This is going to pop up on your screens. How many hours does the average driver lose to traffic congestion in Baltimore annually? So A, 15 hours, B, 55 hours, and C, 30 hours. So I see some people answering. I see some have said 55 hours is the most popular so far. A few said 30 hours, 15. Okay, great. So thank you so much for participating. So the answer for those of you who said 55 hours, you are correct. That is the average annual amount of time Baltimore commuters lose to traffic congestion. So if you think about that, that's sitting in traffic for over 2 days a year, which is a long time. So obviously this is a very important issue in this region. So hopefully we can resolve that. So next slide, please. So just to recap what Dan and Stacey talked about earlier. So for our commuters, you can really unlock incentives and programs by signing up for an account through baltimorecommutes.org. You can also earn rewards for commuting by downloading CommuterCash. So that's available through the App Store or Google Play. And most importantly, the Ride Together Rewards program has launched for carpools and vanpools in Maryland. So for any employers who are interested in this program and you want to learn more, or you want to set up a vanpool, please reach out to us if you have any questions. And we're also really glad you're all here today since we can learn from each other in terms of best practices of commuting and share about all the new incentive programs available to Maryland commuters. And most importantly, behavior change can be hard, but MDOT Commuter Choice Maryland is here to help. So next slide, please. So this is where we turn it around to the audience. If you have any questions for any of our speakers today or for me, you can drop your question in the Q&A box or in the chat, and we can get started with that. So I will check the Q&A box. Let's see. So we do have one question. This is for Dan and Stacey, whoever wants to take it. So for the Guaranteed Ride Home program, do the vehicles for the ride home have bike racks? Or if someone bike to work, do they have to leave their bike there until they can retrieve it?
Great question. There is unfortunately not a guarantee that the vehicles will have bike racks. We just use Ubers and taxi companies who are not required to be equipped with bike racks. So yes, I think if you do back to work and you need to get home quickly in the event of an emergency, you'll have to get back to work to at some other point in time to retrieve your bicycle.
Thank you, Dan, for that information. We also have another question about the carpool and vanpool incentive. Can participants of the carpool and vanpool incentive programs also use CommuterCash and receive rewards?
Yeah, great question. I'll take that. So, yes, you absolutely can take advantage of both of those programs simultaneously. So if you're in the carpool program, it's one of the reasons why we encourage using the CommuterCash app for participating in the carpool incentive, because you are at the same time earning your CommuterCash points. And one thing I forgot to mention was that if you do enroll in a vanpool program, because the trip logging and the information that's gathered is done in such a different way, you absolutely, please download CommuterCash, log that vanpool trip. The one thing I'll note with vanpool commuting is that oftentimes, vanpools may sometimes vanpool arrangements might be that parking is maybe farther away from the work building, or it's like in a more central location, and that has the potential to throw off some of the trip logging accuracies. So we can definitely help work through that to figure out what the best, what the best sort of trip tracking, trip logging approach for you would be with vanpooling. But yeah, absolutely, we definitely see current vanpool commuters using CommuterCash all the time, and same with carpoolers too. So yeah, please feel free.
Thank you so much, Stacy. It's great to know that you can use both. Another question. So how are incentives calculated for a 3-person or 4-person carpool when all members don't commute together on the same days?
Yeah, that's another good question too. And we do get that from some of our more than 2-person carpools. And really, it's all based on the trip log data that you're submitting. So if you have a 4-person carpool and maybe 5 days a week 2 people are commuting together, and 3 days a week, all 4 of you are commuting together, then for as long as you're logging your trips appropriately, then the 2 people that are logging 5 days a week are going to get their incentives calculated based on trip logging over those 5 days, and then the 4 people, the other 2 folks, are going to get their incentives calculated based on the number of trips that they're logging with their co-commuters. And we do calculate it. It's $2.50 in the morning and $2.50 in the evening. So it's a $5 a day total incentive that you could earn.
Okay, great answer. Thank you so much, Stacy, for that information. So we have another question in the Q&A box. This is about the van pool. How do you verify the driving skills and safety of a van pool driver? So they said they're worried about a stranger and they have hesitancy to join.
Yeah, also a very good question, very fair. I'm sorry. So with van pooling, because we are working with an authorized van pool provider, there are some minimum safety checks and driver's license checks and things like that, to at least check the driving records of the people who are participating. So there's a little bit of reassurance there.
Great. Thank you so much, Stacy, for mentioning that. Just back to the van pool, can an employer provide their own van pool vehicle for their employees?
Yeah, so in terms of with the current program, the current incentive program, the because it is set up that you have to be in an authorized vanpool provider, there are requirements that have to be met in order to become a vanpool provider, including responding to an RFQ process that we administer. So employers generally, unless they've gone through that process and they become a vanpool vendor, are unlikely to be able to provide that and participate in this specific program. But what they can do is they can work with a vanpool vendor that is already in the program, and they can provide, I'll use air, provide the vehicle to their employees in that way. Like you can, as an employer, you can offer a subsidy that covers the entire amount, and then you sort of are providing that. You're just not providing that. You're not directly providing the vehicle, but you can, provide the service in a way that, reduces or eliminates even the cost for your participating employees. And I'll just plug the commuter tax credit too, that if an employer is doing that, you can also claim the Maryland commuter tax credit.
Thank you, Stacey, for that. And if you have any questions about the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit, feel free to email us, or I can also assist with that application as well. Okay, well, looks like our last question. Okay, so this recording will actually be provided to you all after the webinar, so feel free to look at that if you missed any parts of our presentation. So thank you so much, Dan and Stacey, for participating in that Q&A of the discussion. It was great to hear more about the vanpool incentive and questions about guaranteed ride home. So we look forward to staying in touch. For our employers on the call, if you're interested, you can join our free employer partner program. So if you want to reach out to us directly, you can. You can also email us. And for any individual commuters on the webinar, please sign up for our newsletter to learn more about commuting options and the latest news about incentives going on in Maryland. Oh, looks like we actually have another question in the chat. I think we still have time for that, so let's see. Do I see another? Oh, Q&A, okay. So we actually have time for a couple more questions I see. There's a question about streamlining logging trips. So is there any way to streamline logging trips? I ride transit. It's already too stressful to track and get to my bus. So while I created an account, I didn't end up using it. Dan and Stacey, do you have any feedback on that question?
Sure. And I assume you're talking about CommuterCash, as that's the predominant incentive program that will reward you for transit use. We've taken steps over the last few months to try and make it as easy as possible to log trips in the CommuterCash app. It's a matter of booting it up and tapping the log trip button, and then it'll automatically turn off whenever you get to your destination. So if you're making the same commute many days a week, you don't have to change addresses or anything like that. It'll just be pre-programmed. All you have to do is tap that log trip button and you're good to go. I will note too that for any legacy users of incenTrip, there's no longer a need to make sure you start your trip while you're actually at your home location. You can start it at any point as you're commuting to the office or to your workplace. What matters mostly for the CommuterCash app is that you arrive at your assigned destination, which is your workplace, to earn the points. And you also must start the app within, I think it's 200 meters of your workplace before you, whenever you're commuting home for the afternoon. So there's a little bit less requirements and red tape there when we rolled out CommuterCash and made those changes than there was in previous years. So that should hopefully help a little bit, but with each trip log, we do have to see that you've arrived and or terminated your trip at your workplace to give you the proper credit.
Thank you so much, Dan, for answering that question about logging trips. I think that's great. At least we know how that works for CommuterCash. And then I'll turn it back to our ending slides. So we just want to thank everyone today for participating in this webinar. And if you want to join on our next one, it's going to be on September 25 on transit. So next slide. And last but not least, please be sure to visit our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to connect with us. And on behalf of the Commuter Choice Maryland team, we want to thank you for being here and for your interest in our program. And we hope to see everyone in September. And thank you for your time. And thank you, Dan and Stacey.
Thank you.